Today, we will take you through the story of Alex Manadora, a teenager during the Great Depression.
In the 1930s, the United States experienced an economic depression and an agricultural disaster. It was a great drought.
1929. The financial house of cards collapses, and the overinflated stock market plunges into a Great Depression. A financial panic grips the world.
As basic as possible, inflation is the rate of growth in the economy as far as jobs, businesses, and everything expanding in that, as well as the rate of interest that banks have to charge to be able to stay profitable with that growth.
In other words, if you have 100 pennies and the inflation rate for the year is 2%, the next year those same 100 pennies would only be worth 98 pennies from the year before. And the same for the next year, and all the ones after that. Same goes for a 3% inflation rate. The value of the 100 pennies would go down by 3 pennies each year. But look what happens when inflation hits.
Summer, 1928. Alex Manadora has a somewhat accomplished family with a ranching business. They had been working well with many employees and were able to properly sustain themselves and make a little bit extra as well. Lately there has been a slight recession, but they're not too worried about it.
One of the most well-known economic crashes was the Great Depression. This economic crash affected the poor and middle class the most because those groups of people lost their jobs. Because money was scarce, women would get their husbands to buy particular feed sacks because they had patterns on them to make clothes. Food was horrible and people were forced to eat whatever they could.
One Great Depression recipe that I've seen that looks really, really horrible was that there was a casserole recipe where you took spaghetti and you boiled the spaghetti for 20 minutes. Now that's about twice as long as you really should boil spaghetti. So we're talking mushy spaghetti. And you mixed it with boiled carrots, chopped up, and then put white sauce over the whole thing and baked it. I cannot imagine eating this. However, it was cheap, it was filling, all of you are making horrible faces.
The Great Depression in the 1930s caused an era of unrest, unemployment, and caused new eating habits throughout America. All this was caused by inflation, and if inflation were to rise out of control today, everything we know may be ruined by changing our employment, eating habits, how we raise our children, and much more would change forever.
A couple of years ago, milk prices, dairy prices really inflated because there was an outbreak with cows where there were a lot of them dying off, and so because so many cows had died, prices for cheese, all sorts of dairy products such as milk, yogurt, all of the prices increased by a couple dollars. Equivalent today as dairy products haven't completely fallen back to the prices that they were in the early 2000s. Before, milk was a lot cheaper than it is now.
The recession is worsening, and Alex's family realizes that they might not be able to keep up with the rapidly increasing inflation rates. In turn, they fire many more of the workers, afraid they will not have the money to support themselves, let alone the workers. With almost all of their workers gone, the family struggles to support themselves and keep the ranch alive. The few workers left are forced to do overtime without pay, and Alex's family does much of the work. Lots of their crops die, and they stop paying their bills to save money, leaving their house without power, gas, and water. The Manadora family is beginning to realize the enormity of this recession. As the Manadora family realizes how bad the recession is, they have to change drastically to survive. The Manadora family is forced to slaughter most of their cows for food, and because feed for animals was becoming very expensive. But nothing was wasted either. The feed sacks were sewn to new clothes. All parts of the animal were eaten, and there was never any food left over. With the ground around their farm becoming bone dry, nothing would grow, forcing them to eat unimaginable food.
Alex realized that he was a burden to his family. Without him, there would be less mouths to feed. Alex heard about how children run away on trains to explore and decided he would as well. So in the middle of the night, Alex snuck out of his house and ran to the train station. He wanted to jump onto a train heading to New York to visit the Statue of Liberty. Alex arrives at New York, and as he walks toward the Statue of Liberty, he spots a poster out of the corner of his eye. This was none other than Uncle Sam. Alex decides to join the army with nothing to lose and everything to gain, in hopes of supporting his family. But his family thinks that he hates them for not being able to support them, and ran away because he wanted a better life. And so for the next 4 years in the military, Alex's family thinks that he's either with a different family, out of the country, or dead.
3 years later, neither Alex nor his family would know what came of each other, but their fears that Alex was dead were true, as he got killed leading a charge against German machine guns.
In the end, inflation threatens the lives of Americans like you.
Which is why we would like to direct a message to the government, saying they need to manage their money more carefully.
And tread lightly on trade deals that could put multiple countries at risk, and be careful about making questionable decisions in investment.